Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where we read surprisingly interesting stories that in fact actually happened. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our awesome community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled Condo Association sent a letter citing inappropriate bylaws to restrict my kid from doing basically anything. My soon-to-be 7-year-old is a good kid who is very energetic and active. I sent her out to play in the courtyard with the other kids while I am cooking dinner in the evenings to play. She is mostly going around and round on her scooter on the sidewalks, playing on the grass or sometimes climbing the spruce trees. She's very respectful to any adult that she comes across, if talkative. The development is pretty evenly split between young diverse families and white boomers who bought it in the 70s. They are polite and friendly to me and my husband, but yell at my daughter if we are not around, telling her that she cannot scoot around the courtyard, play on the grass, scoot around the parking lot or climb trees. They want her to go play in the play area that, first, is out of sight of the unit, has not been mulched in forever, leaving the equipment very high off the ground, overrun by ants and yellow jackets. A rope climbing structure is so old and worn out that the nylon rope is pretty much gone, leaving the metal cables exposed. I have brought the state of the play area to the attention of various board members in April and May. Nothing has been done. They have cited 2 bylaws which are not applicable to the situation. One talks about keeping children out of trash rooms, laundry rooms and storage areas, not biking through those places. The other bylaw reads as such: no noxious or offensive trait or activity shall be carried on within the project or within any condominium unit situated thereon, nor shall anything be done therein or thereon which may or become an annoyance to the neighborhood or the other owners. No nuisance shall be permitted within the condominium project, nor shall any use or practice be permitted which is or becomes a source of annoyance to the members or which interfere with the peaceful use and possession thereof by the members. I took this to mean no gang-related activity, no drug dealing, no durian, don't cook meth. My downstairs neighbor received a similar letter, and I'm going to ask the parents of the other kids they play with if they have received one too. There is a county noise ordinance in place, but it does not go into effect until 10 p.m. My kid rides her scooter on the sidewalks and in the parking lot, never indoors. She plays non-destructive games on the grass, she climbs trees. The only people that are being obnoxious are the seniors. What should I do? Bear in mind tomorrow is the first day of summer vacation and she's going to be around much more than she was when school was in session. And guys, I picked this story because the comments were kind of unusual compared to the other legal advice stories we have seen so far. The first comment reads, I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds like your kid is involved in some dangerous activities like riding a scooter unsupervised in a parking lot. It sounds like there is a designated area for kids to play, but it is run down. Perhaps a better cause for you to fight would be one to get the playground redone. The other owners may be concerned about your child being hit/hurt by a car. Parking lots are for cars, not scooters, skates, balls, etc. I say approach the board with your concerns about the playground and your issues with rules. New playground sounds like a win-win. And guys, please let me know in the comments what you think about the situation in this story. Would you be on OP's side or not? Let us know. And now we will read the update to the condo story from before. The board meeting was yesterday. When the floor was open to owner commentary, I raised my hand and told them that we had moved in about 6 months ago and what I liked about the community before telling them about the letter and what it said. I ended with, when I got this letter, it made me feel like the community is not a welcoming place for young families. It turns out that the letter was sent out without the full knowledge and consent of the board. In fact, they had no idea that it was sent out. The president of the board was livid that I and 6 other families that I know of received this letter and told us that our kids were allowed and encouraged to play on their scooters and bikes on the sidewalk. They don't want the kids to play in the parking lots for their safety. They also ask that kids stay out of plantings and off the grass. Then she referred us to the playground that has several safety concerns and mentions the new layers of wood chips that had been put down at the beginning of summer. I told her that while we appreciate the new layer of wood chips, I still had some safety concerns. The end of the slide is about 2 feet off the ground, and when my 3-year-old goes down, she shoots off the end like a cannon. Also, the nylon covering on the climbing structure has come off and I'm worried my kid's fingers could get hurt. There's a strange lurid green fungus the size of a hockey puck by the swings. When you poke it, it lets off spores and oozes. They will have a contractor come out to give an estimate to fix the playground. The person that sent the letter was counting on us to be intimidated by official stationery, not to talk to each other, and discouraged by the inconvenient board meetings. I am especially upset that 6 or 7 families that I know of received this letter, and 4 of them were renters/people of color. One person is a single man whose nephew visited him for a weekend and brought his bike. I plan on joining the board once I've been here a bit longer and implementing community building events so that people don't feel so alone. Hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm wondering if there's also a subreddit for condo associations. By the way guys, if you have any subreddit recommendations that are similar to r/FHOA or r/LegalAdvice, please let me know in the comments. Because honestly, I feel like my current audience likes these more realistic stories, so I am always on the lookout for new content. I am a US citizen living and stuck in Iran. I want to come to the US. I am 18 and female. I was born in the US in the state of Oregon and lived there until 11 years old. My parents are Iranian and went back to Iran when I was 11. I am a dual Iranian-American citizen. I don't have an American or Iranian passport, but I have my birth certificate and social security number and school records from when I was in the US. There is no US embassy in Iran and I need my father's permission to get an Iranian passport or leave the country so that I can go to another country to visit a US embassy. My father will not give me the permission. My brother lives in Seattle. This is where I will go once I go to the US. What can I do? How do I come back to the US? And user Lila Lalina in the comments said, Switzerland Embassy has an office that handles some consulate jobs for American citizens in Iran. You will need to book an appointment, phone numbers are there on that link. They will give you travel documents to enter the US, but not documents to leave Iran. This one is up to you to handle. Sadly, you will need your father's permission, but only to get a passport. Once you get it, you don't need renewed permissions every time you leave the country. You need to trick him to somehow allow you to get a passport. Like convincing him to go on an overseas trip with you, then using the passport to leave again at a later date. And guys, what do you think about this situation? In my opinion, it's probably quite difficult to get the father's permission and to trick him. But let's see how it continues. And now we will read the update to the Iran story from before. By the way, please correct me if I pronounce Iran or Iran incorrectly. I am now back in the US. It was not easy and took a long time, mostly because my parents had hid all my American documents from me. But I found them, took originals and replaced them with copies. They never noticed. The Office of Foreign Interests at the Swiss Embassy were very helpful, although they did not do anything until I had the documents proving that I am a US citizen. I was able to exit Iran by going on a vacation with my family to Turkey and I just did not come back with them. The Foreign Interests Office arranged everything so that I could go to the US consulate in Istanbul. They were already in the loop and were aware of my case. I had a quick interview and picked up my travel documents. My brother bought a ticket for me to fly to the US directly from Istanbul. I had a difficult time getting through airport immigration and had to answer questions for over an hour, but in the end everything was fine. Needless to say, my parents are very upset with me, but they have no control over me anymore. I now need to find a job and see what I can do for going to college. Thank you for the advice. And once again, a life saved due to r/LegalAdvice. In addition, if you have watched until here, please feel free to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. All support is very much appreciated and needed. Thank you so much. The next one is titled Greyhound left me overnight at border crossing, lost 7k carry-on bag, offered $4 compensation. Hi, I am posting this since I am at my wit's end right now, bashing my head into Greyhound customer service. To make a long story short, I traveled Friday night from Ontario to New York City. I booked a ticket that was supposed to transfer at City B at night and arrive at New York City in the morning. The first bus leaving from City A to B was delayed by almost 2 hours, so I missed my connecting bus. Agents were no help and told me, "You might have to wait until tomorrow morning." Upon arrival at Terminal B, I spoke to a ticketer there who apologized and managed to get me on the last bus leaving to New York City for the night. Since it was on such short notice, they did not reissue a ticket and told me not to worry, they would get me to my destination. When we arrived at the border crossing, we were all told to leave our stuff on the bus and bring only what we needed to cross the border. Since I was slotted in, I was processed last. While I was going through customs, the bus left without me, which the CBP officials said was a violation since bus drivers cannot leave without receiving proper head count and an okay from the border officials. I was left stranded freezing overnight with just my passport, phone and wallet. I called Greyhound right away to let them know what had happened, gave them the bus number and itinerary, but they refused to contact the bus driver to secure my carry-on baggage. They also refused to grab it right away after the bus arrived, stating, "It will eventually cleaned and maybe end up lost and found." The next bus only arrived at 10 AM, 7 hours later. When I finally arrived in New York, surprise surprise, my unattended bag had been stolen and had not ended up in lost and found. After several calls, they finally admit wrongdoing and have offered me a $4 trouble voucher as compensation, citing that unfortunately since I was not reissued a ticket in the system, they cannot do anything for me and they are not responsible for carry-on bags. Lastly, I might have some recourse through my credit card insurance, however, Greyhound refuses to even provide any evidence that the lost baggage claim exists, which is necessary for my insurance claim. What can I do to be compensated? I had 2 laptops and a Switch and items totaling 7K in the bag. Edit, thanks for the helpful comments guys, I've been looking through and I will contact a free consultation lawyer and see where I am at in terms of a case. We'll post an update if it is available. Edit number 2, as far as proving that I had the items in my bag, the very least I could do is show that Microsoft Find My Device shows that the last time my laptop was active was Friday night, right before boarding the Greyhound. And user, you have 0 case in the comments said, you will have to sue Greyhound. Another person in the comments said, do you know the name of the driver who told you to leave things on the bus when you go through customs and then abandoned you? That must be a violation of Greyhound's policies. I am not a lawyer, yet I've often taken the bus across the border from Ontario to New York and every single time the bus driver told all passengers to take everything with them when we went through customs. The driver pulls all the luggage out from underneath the bus and walks through checking the overhead shelves. Border security has the right to inspect the bus when it crosses the border and the driver does not want to be held responsible for anything illegal found on the bus. We are told to leave nothing behind, not even a scarf to mark our seats. When we go through customs, all of our bags go on a conveyor belt, through a scanner, and sometimes customs officials will explicitly ask, do you have all your luggage with you? So guys, unfortunately, this is one of the few stories where I could not find an update. However, I just had to post it because it seemed so interesting. If you were in OP's situation, what would you have done? Would you try to sue Greyhound? Let us know in the comments. The next one is titled, My neighbor is literally starving his ducks and chickens to death. I don't know what else to do. I live in Pennsylvania. My neighbor has not been feeding his chickens and ducks. He keeps them locked up in like a 4x5 wire cage. Their only shelter is literally a bucket turned sideways full of mud and feces. We have been sneaking food over and have talked to the neighbor about animal food banks and everything. I contacted the local SPCA and another rescue. SPCA said they would come out 3 days ago and never did. And yesterday one of the chickens was dead. We did not realize he just never fed them at all. The other chickens were just laying next to the dead one, crying. We called the local cops and they never called back. I called the state police and they sent a dude out yesterday. We did not talk to the neighbors at all because we wanted them to not have time to remove the dead chicken. We have pictures. I contacted another rescue who are willing to take the ducks and chickens. There are only 2 ducks and I think 2 chickens left now, but they don't have an officer who deals with animals, they just take in rescues. I don't know what else to do. I'm waiting for the neighbor to get home to just outright ask to buy them and then take them to the rescue, but if they don't sell, what else can I do? Can I keep calling the cops until they get sick of coming out here and do something? And why didn't the cops do anything when there is a clear animal abuse / neglect happening? Edit number 2, the 2 little chickens are gone and the dead one. Also one of the ducks is missing. They have not been turning on the heat lamp, we are assuming the rest of the chickens and one of the ducks has died. We put out 3 cut up apples, green beans and a whole pack of strawberries for them yesterday and it is all gone. Don't know if they ate it or the neighbor removed it. And a user in the comments said, call animal control. They are who handle animal abuse complaints. And guys, what would you do if you had a neighbor who did something like that? Let us know in the comments. And now the update to the neighbor story. This did not get a lot of traction at all, but for the like 2 or 3 people who responded, the neighbor apparently told the cop that the chickens died from sharing a space with the ducks. Nothing will be done on that end. There were originally 4 chickens altogether and all 4 died within 3 days. There are 3 ducks left. I went out today to offer to purchase the ducks from him to take them to a sanctuary that I found who would have taken them, but they apparently already found a new home for them. The new owners will be coming to pick them up on Wednesday, so hopefully they have a better life after this. The only organizations that contacted me back were the ones that did not deal with animal abuse or neglect to let me know they cannot help, which I appreciated. I'm pretty upset about the lack of response from the SPCA. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the SPCA is some kind of organization that is responsible for adopting pets. But anyway, they have not contacted us at all since the day before they said they would come out to investigate. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 of the chickens could still be alive if they did. Apparently the wife is upset and going crazy about getting rid of the remaining ducks, but she literally not once has left her house outside of going to work. She has never ever gone back there with the ducks and chickens. I'm pretty sure she has hoarding tendencies at this point and her husband enables her. The husband did not seem at all fazed. We called the cops on him. I think he's just done with the whole situation, to be honest. So I failed at saving those poor chickens, but I like to think since the cop came out that they decided to get rid of the ducks. So while the cop did not seem to care at all about the situation and he just had to be there because it is his job, I'm still thankful he showed up because I think it helped to scare the neighbor. You know guys, stories like these always make me really sad because I just cannot understand how someone would do something like that, especially if you could just give the chickens to someone else. And the last one is titled, My son read our will and it is destroying our family. I'm going to preface this by saying I love all 3 of my sons equally. It is my unequivocal truth. It is just that my ex-wife's involvement with my oldest son has really introduced a lot of toxicity and complications in our lives. After years of emotional and financial abuse, my wife and I have made a very conscious decision to completely cut my ex-wife out of our lives once my son turned 18. We let him have his relationship with his mother without any interference from us or any negative words. I disagree with a lot of how their relationship is, but I have kept my mouth shut to keep the peace. After losing literally everything after my divorce, I have built a new business with my wife and it is doing very well. All 3 of our sons work in the business. A week ago, all the kids were over for lunch. I was stupid and left our recently drafted will on my office desk. My oldest son managed to see it. Our company and our home was willed to my 2 younger sons. My oldest was given a trust that pays out some money every 5 years. I feel like I have to explain myself over why the will was laid out as it was. My ex-wife still has a lot of influence over my son, and at the suggestion of our lawyer, we created the will this way so she could not interfere in the company and home. If she were to pass away before us, the will would be immediately rewritten to divide the company/home equally. The plan was to explain this to our son gently and not for him to see it without any context. My son was understandably upset, but his behavior that day exceeded all levels of decency. He stormed downstairs, threw things around and used disgusting language against my wife and I. Our sons nearly got into a fist fight. I am devastated. I have already apologized and forwarded him emails to my lawyer telling him I want the will to be changed to split everything equally, but the damage is done. He's now spreading horrible lies about us and his brothers to everyone in my family, even to the point of accusing us of being racist. He's half Indian, half white. His brothers and my wife and I are so hurt hearing this. It could not be any further from the truth. It is the same thing my ex-wife liked to accuse us of over the years. He has refused to come into work since the past week and I've been scrambling to do a lot of his work. I don't know how to fix this. He won't take my calls. My ex-wife has used this situation to make absolutely insane posts on Facebook that I'm considering legal action over. But I know that will just add gasoline to the fire with regards to my son. I'm not sure how to salvage this, and I'm really afraid that some of the things he has said won't easily be forgotten. My younger sons have already been questioned on social media by their cousins about the racism accusations. It is a very uncomfortable thing to approach. My wife is also not over the names she was called by him, even though she says she is. And guys, this is a bit of a bonus story. It is not from the usual r/LegalAdvice, so I am curious to hear what would you suggest OP to do in that situation. Let us know in the comments. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's content, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our amazing community. Furthermore, don't forget to go to r/RipeStories on Reddit to post your own stories if you want me to read them out in a video. I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.